What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 21 of the AllDriveNoDrop podcast. I'm here with David from Tickle My Pickleball. How is it going, David? What is going on today?
It's going well, Jacob. I just got back from Disney World. So I think my plane actually landed like an hour and a half ago. Just got home. Still haven't unpacked yet, but looking forward to finally being able to play pickleball again.
Hey, anything for the podcast, anything for the chest. That's great. How long were you in Disney for?
Left on Friday, so I did Disney World Saturday, and then I was at Universal during the Super Bowl. I think there were
Ooh,
two teams that I didn't really care about. I also don't watch football anyways, but I was like, it's probably going to be less crowded if I go during the Super Bowl. And
yeah.
it was somewhat less crowded, but it was still had some lines.
Oh, really? I would think that would be like, it was one of the best times to go. But I guess,
I think I should have swapped it. I think Universal just had a lot of people that like didn't care about the Super Bowl, but I think like Disney World would have been better to do on Sunday.
Oh, yeah. It's been a while since I've been to Universal, but for a while there, I think I went like 3 times and just love Universal. Like that's my favorite park of all the parks. Although I haven't been to Epcot since I've been an adult, and I know people do like the drink around the world, so that might be fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know. What's your favorite ride?
I don't do roller coasters, so I just do. That's like a compromise to do with my wife. So she likes to do them. I don't. And then our compromise is to do those like 4D, 3D rides. I actually like the Minion one. For me, I'm kind of weird. I just think it made like there was a whole plot line as to why I was getting involuntarily thrown around in my seat versus
Okay.
like if I went on the Incredible Hulk, I'm just getting thrown for no reason. But I was like, the Minions, there's like a whole plot line why the seat is moving. Like, it makes sense and it doesn't go too fast. So I'll go with
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. I I'm trying to think what my favorite ride. Like I really did like the Men in Black ride. I don't know if they're getting rid of that, but that's always fun. Like I like when you get like the game within the ride. That's
Yeah.
that's a fun thing. Although I don't think it was always working right, because like I would never lose. So it definitely must have been not working sometimes. Um, but yeah, Universal is just cool. I like how they have like, oh, was the Mardi Gras going on too at
Yeah, it
Universal?
was. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the last time I went was Mardi Gras. That was so much fun, dude.
Yeah.
Mardi Gras at Universal was an awesome time. Did you get some bead?
No, I was like, I saw the parade for like a little bit, but I was like, while everyone's watching the parade, I should get on the rides now.
Yeah, yeah. We stayed one night when they were doing like the Mardi Gras celebrations that night, and that was a ton of fun. Hopefully I'll make it back there again. Definitely not like I wouldn't say it was like a kid-friendly environment for Mardi Gras at night. So probably not a place to take your kids. But yeah, awesome. I'm glad you had a great weekend. I was just out here balling, playing some pickleball, as one does, and it's pretty much what I did on the weekend. And went around with the family, of course. But yeah. Well, I watched a lot of PPA for the first time in a while. I was interested in some of the new partnerships. So we'll kind of recap on that. Just some quick thoughts. I don't know if you had any time to watch any of it.
Just saw
Um,
some highlights.
all right, and then we got a lot of paddle talk as usual coming up. Selkirk 008, the new Spartus paddles, which are going to be some of the best deals on the market. And then some stuff coming up. We're going to check out the paddles from Technifibre, the French tennis company that's getting into pickleball. We don't have those yet, but we should have them. I believe they're in the mail this week. So hopefully next podcast we can talk about those. And then the new Engage shape. So they're coming out with I think it's just their Pursuit Pro technology. I don't think it's the Pro 1. Don't quote me. Um, but they're coming out with a hybrid shape, which I'm very interested in, and a different like a more wide body shape. I believe their other shape is just 16 by 8. And
I
now a
think the
different.
handle's longer on
Oh,
the
well,
new one.
okay, a longer handle. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So those should be interesting. Really, really interesting. The hybrid. I believe they're both coming in 13 and 16. So
Yeah.
more to come on that. And then we might have a special guest here. I don't even know if I can do this in the middle of the podcast. Oh yeah, I can. Yeah, let me see. David, can you let's do this. Let's do this while I'm trying to get our special guest on here real quick. Let's go ahead with your hot take a little earlier than usual.
Okay. So this is gonna be an interesting one. So the reason is I'm actually completely okay being wrong about this, and I will preface this by saying I haven't tried this before, but my hot take is I currently don't think things like slice caps and flick weights are worth it at all. And again, like I said, I've never tried them before, but to me, I've never really felt the need to like when I've been hitting a paddle and felt like, oh, I need to spend $20 to put something at the butt cap of my handle. I know some of people have said, I saw recently like the Fed, Saxford, he actually started using slice caps. So now I'm like, I don't know, well, was it slice cap or flip? I forget what that. But either way, I'm just like, I've never felt like I hit a paddle so much that I felt like, oh, it's not my fault, it's the paddles. And that's how I feel like these are. I think it's a little too much customization, especially considering the cost. For slice caps, like I think you're like taking out the whole butt cap. The whole thing just sounds too much for me. And flick weight sounds like an interesting idea. And when I did talk to the owner, I did preface by, I actually did tell him, I was like, I don't like your product. I think it's stupid. I don't think it's going to work. But obviously, I'm willing to try it out and I would love to be proven wrong. But yeah, I did want to do like a hot take where I felt like I need more pitchforks against me in the comments. So this is, and I feel like I can get some with this because I do think people are at the stage where you should be spending that $20 maybe to rent a court and drill more, and you'll find you like the paddle better than just slapping on all these modifications. But I don't know. I'm going to try these flick weights out, and I could be completely wrong in a few weeks. I'll be like, oh man, delete that episode.
It's funny you bring that up, actually, because shout out to Kyle, who I played with this weekend. Big 11-6-24 guy, so you guys would get along. I think he's an ambassador. But he is a big fan of like putting weight in the handle and putting weight on the butt cap. And I'll have to ask him again. He got someone to start creating his own like copper like coins, so he could, I think he said they were like $2 a coin. And so he's creating his own, for a lot cheaper. I don't know what the flick weight is charging exactly. I think it's like $18.20. So quite a bit of difference in price.
The flick weights come with like quite a bit of them, right? There's like a bunch
yeah. I don't know what the exact price is like per flick weight, and then obviously it probably differs for each like density, whatever. But yeah, you could put weight in your handle with like tungsten tape or lead tape, which I've done. At first I wasn't like a big fan of putting weight in the handle. I was just like, whatever. But I have started to realize, especially with the elongated paddles, I have been liking it. But like you said, like you can do it yourself. You don't need to spend like $20-$30. I think it's more for people that don't like to feel the weight in their handle, like under the grip, or they just want that convenience factor, or and like, I guess some of it too is they have customization. So you can kind of like customize your weight, design too, right? So you could, it's more of like a stylistic thing. But I think it's a fair hot take. I'm sure someone's going to argue with you in the comments because that's,
Yeah.
Also, if anyone knows, David can't post comments. I don't know why. Can someone help us? He can't post comments. I can't figure it out. And YouTube support is like, there's not a such thing as a YouTube support. You like post a comment and hope someone responds. But yeah, he can't post comments. And I figured this out because my wife's like, because like I guess his comments were appearing, but then my wife's like, "How come you never respond to David's comments?" I'm like, "What?" I was like, I don't see them. And then, surprise guest! Forget everything I just said. We've got
I didn't know this was happening
here. Josh, do you want to introduce yourself, or do you want me to introduce you? I feel like you're a man that. So we got Josh. Thanks for joining us. I was asking Josh while we were live to make sure if we could talk about the Spartus paddles, and then I'm like, you know what? Why don't we just bring him on and he can describe the paddles himself, because then I won't get it wrong about the construction, right? I mean,
good morning. I just happened to be here. Well, thanks for having me on your podcast. This is crazy.
Hey, I appreciate you jumping on.
Yeah, and I love how you guys linked up for your podcast. But for those who don't know me, I'm Josh. I'm the founder of Spartus. And we started out around the same time that Jacob and David started their review channels. So we've been doing this in the pickleball industry all at the same time together. So it's been a cool 2 years growing together. And
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, Jacob asked me to join because we have a new paddle series coming out in a couple of weeks. Um, and yeah, so I'm excited to have it launched. We've been working on it for 5 months. Think I know David has had a chance to play with it. I'm not sure if you have, Jacob, but
Yep, I have had the chance to play with both the Odyssey and the Orion. But if you wanted to kind of like go into how these are constructed and what what your intention was with this design and paddle series before we kind of get into our thoughts, that would be awesome.
yeah, absolutely. I see, David is showing off the Orion right there. So we have two paddles coming up in this series. We're calling it the VPEX series for now. Well, it is called the Apex series, and it's starting out with two paddles, the Odyssey and the Orion. And for this line, we're going back to our roots. When we started Spartus 2.5 years ago, the goal was to provide very, very top end paddles at the most affordable prices as possible. And there's a lot of things we do in the background that the consumer doesn't see. But we did a lot of stuff that allows us to enable these prices, and we're launching this at an incredible price. I think that's the biggest highlight, which is $79.99. Think I don't think there's better value or on the market than these paddles. And some of the highlights of the paddles are first, there's a new core that we call the Boost Core. It's a 10 millimeter cell diameter blended polymer core, and it's black. So when you open it up, you'll see that it's not the normal white polypropylene. What this core does is it provides a little more power than normal polypropylene cores, and also it's more durable than the normal ones that you see. And while we're on that tune, we also don't thermoform this paddle. So I know some for the viewers who don't know what that is, there's a process called hot molding that became very popular in 2023. So if you remember like the Legacy Pros and what made Vatic Pro very popular. So you're basically, putting the paddles in this under a lot of pressure and heat. And what that does is it makes the carbon fiber more rigid. And you're going to get a more powerful paddle that way. But one of the downsides is that because you're putting it in this metal mold and applying this pressure to it, these paddles, thermoform paddles, have a higher susceptibility to something called core crush. And many of you probably experienced this with your paddles before. We don't do that with this line of paddles. Instead, we use a different process to build the paddle up. And we use the Boost Core to increase the power. And then we also have what we call our failing system. We first introduced this in the Olympus, but basically it's a reinforced hardened gel that we inject into parts of the paddle to increase the sweet spot, but also increase the rigidity and durability of the frame. So basically you're getting a paddle. Oh, one last cool thing is that we 360 mold the handle. So if you tear off the grip, you'll see that the whole handle is molded with polyurethane. So it feels better. And I know a couple years ago, we had issues with people saying, Spartus handles aren't the best, but we've been listening and we worked on it really hard. And hopefully we finally got a handle that you guys will love. But with all that said, the goal right here is you got a paddle series that is fit for today's game, compared to last year, even the year before, the speed of the game has increased like crazy. So we wanted to bring a paddle that, fits today's game and also solves a lot of the durability issues, all at an incredible price.
I mean, sounds great to me. I mean, every time, we get pitched, oh, we have the best paddle on the market and it's the best price on the market. We probably see it, every other day. But I know you're not pitching that. And I'm just like, so like when I hear oh, this is going to be the best under 100, I'm usually just like my eyes glaze over. But whenever you say something, I usually take it seriously, just because I've known you for a while and I know like you don't make statements without having something to back it up. And I mean, so far I've been pretty impressed with these paddles. Like, could easily like see these being like a $200 paddle. In my opinion, like just the power level. I would say, I don't know. Do you want us to go into our thoughts on these paddles in front of you live?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm
Okay,
actually
yeah.
curious with thoughts. So
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, first, David, did you have any questions about like the construction or anything before we start talking about it?
Oh yeah, so me and Jake were actually talking about this right before we got on this call, but like I was kind of running my hands through the edge guard. Is it like normal to feel these bumps on the side, like small little bumps? And I don't know if that's related to the phalanx system at all.
Yeah, so one other thing, it's sort of related. So you can I guess you can barely feel it at places, but
Yeah, it's very
I feel
small.
on the top.
yeah, you're gonna feel it
mainly.
at certain parts of the failings. So one of the things that is different than like the thermoformed or hot molded paddles is that for those paddles, you have like a layer of carbon fiber that covers, that goes in between the edge guard and the core. So with the failings, we got rid of that and we just had the failings there. So the rest of the paddle, you're not going to have like a seal there outside from the edge guard. But you may feel a slight, right here where the failings is, slight bumps, but it's very little and, there's no impact on playability.
Gotcha. Interesting.
And then like your inspiration for this core, I'm assuming this was like maybe what Pursuit and Paddle Tech do? Is it similar to like their series?
Yeah, I can't lie. It wasn't just me. There were basically multiple members on the team and people who were helping out were bringing up those two companies in particular, or specifically rather. So you can say there was a lot of inspiration from those paddle lines. But again, one of the things that they did along with the core was move away from hot molding and build more durable paddle that way. And again, that was something that we wanted to achieve.
Yeah, that's awesome, because I think that's the number one complaint I see is people complaining like, I core crush every paddle, and they're like, what do you recommend that doesn't core crush? And it's always like, well, like all I can do is report on what people are saying, because like I don't end up playing a single paddle long enough to really core crush it, nor does like most of the reviewers, right? I mean, like just so many paddles, it's not we're gonna put like 50 hours on a paddle every time. So all I can do is go based off what everyone's saying. And I think in general though, like most of the paddles that aren't thermoformed, it seems like are having a lot better results of not core crushing. So I think this should be should hold up. Do you guys do any type of destructive testing?
I wish I could tell you, we do like this very scientific method. I think both of you know that, some of the equipment that the other companies have are like hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, unfortunately, we're not at that scale where we can afford that kind of equipment to give you like objective numbers around that. But we do test them for extended periods of time.
Okay.
So this line has been in the works for 5 months, almost 6 now. In that period, we've had paddles been used for over 100 hours. So
yeah,
we're pretty confident in the durability of these paddles.
Yeah, I know you have some dedicated testers out there that can slap a ball pretty hard. So I believe it gets tested pretty well. Man, hold on, David, if you have a question. I had a question that escaped my mind.
Okay, I can go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Unrelated, but Josh, did you throw on these clothes when Jacob texted you, or were you already wearing
I was going to ask that
I'll tell you what I did. I turned my clothes on backwards. And I had a sweater on, and I just took the sweater off. I happened to be wearing this. I changed into this after I worked out today. So all I did was turn my hat forward. Just like, I feel like I should look a little bit more professional. That's all I did.
It's funny you say that, because when one of my first videos I did, I had my hat backwards, I think in the video and in the thumbnail. And someone wrote this long comment, and they're like, I just couldn't take you seriously. I knew I was going to get frat bro energy once I saw the backwards hat. It's like, I can't take you serious. And I was like, well, if you knew me, I'm probably like the opposite of a frat bro. But ever since then, every time I have my hat backwards and I'm on the video, I'm like, I will always remember that comment. They're living in my
It's
head,
really funny.
but I still do it. I still wear the hat backward. They can't stop me.
Yeah, I do that too on a daily basis. I just thought maybe for the podcast, be a little bit more professional.
Oh man, I
So
like
how do
it.
you guys like the paddle?
Oh, the question of the hour. So
Yeah.
you want to go first, David?
Yeah, I go first.
Okay, go ahead.
So reason I brought it up was I was actually the video I released today was the Batic Sagas, and then comparison with the 11624 all courts. And this is the third one I actually brought up. I didn't include it in the video. So my comparison is only going to be between those three. I personally like the feel better. I think a lot of people know I don't like the feel of the 11624 all courts. I like the feel of the Sagas, but I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about this because it's like, oh, it's an $80 paddle, but I do like the feel of it. And I will say, like, it doesn't hit as hard as the Sagas or the all courts, but I like the feel, and I can, especially for its price, it's a very solidly constructed paddle. I've only hit the Odyssey so far, but the Orion is what I'm going to be focusing on for the rest.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah, the Orion might give you a little bit more power.
Yeah, especially I'm going to add some like tape down here, mainly because like the handle's a bit longer, but I'm really looking forward to this one.
Nice.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really enjoy the feeling. Like it's pretty soft, and I think so the thing is, like, I play sometimes pretty well with like stiffer paddles just because I can feel the ball, but like usually it ends up hurting my elbow a lot, and I think that happens to a lot of people. So like I don't really generally enjoy stiffer paddles, and this one isn't. I mean, this one isn't stiff. It's pretty soft. Like it feels pretty good. I would have slotted the power in between the all court like Vapor and the Saga, and then like I don't even know what the swing weight is on this yet, but it felt pretty light. So added some weight on it and seemed like it did pretty well with that extra weight. I think I put 3 grams on the corners here. I think I could go more. So I was getting pretty decent power. Maybe like an all court little bit above average power with the weight on it. And then for the pop, that probably needs more time, but the pop's pretty good. I would say a little bit above average pop, comparing to like an average Gentoo thermoform paddle. So far, I mean, I'm pretty impressed. Like if I had to pick an under $100 paddle, like the other stuff that's not thermoformed is just too soft for me, like to actually play with. Just like and when I say like
prisms,
soft,
the jelly
yeah,
bean.
the prisms, the jelly beans, just not enough juice on them. And I think for most people that are like hardcore players, probably not enough juice either. So so this is a step up from those while still getting that soft feel, and hopefully long term that durability too, because I think that's a thing a lot of people are looking for is, hey, I want to get a paddle, I don't want it to break, I want it to last a while. So if it fits that bill, I think it's going to be a pretty easy recommendation for someone that's looking for that price point.
Yeah, speaking of durability, is there any like changes with the warranty on this compared to like your other lineups?
Oh, we are consider TBD. We're like revamping. We're thinking about revamping a lot of like company policies, in preparation for certain other stuff coming up. So TBD. But just for FYI,
Yeah.
I think most of our customers are pretty aware of this at this point. We're ultra liberal with our warranty. I don't know how else to state that, but those who have experienced it will know what I'm talking about. So as long as like, there's no like, clear signs of abuse or fraud or something like that.
Gotcha.
But I'm glad you guys said that. That was, that was really the intention, of these paddles. Like I said, like a lot of the paddles that sit, in the sub $100 price point, I just felt like, they're great paddles. I just felt like the game has evolved, since we started playing, and we were sort of aware of what the factors were that led to that, but the end result is that it's a much faster paced game, and what used to be considered like a control paddle from 2 years ago is now like I don't know if you can even consider it a control paddle anymore, because that has nowhere near the power to play in today's game. And like power paddles from 2 years ago are probably control paddles now. So we were trying to just make a paddle that will fit today's game, which is very different from 2 years ago.
Yeah. I think I've seen you already answer this, but just so it's on here, are you going to make this in the Apollo shape?
TBD. We've been playing around. Well, let me take a step back and say we'll categorize Apollo shape under the standard or wide body umbrella. Because thinking of the Apollo had quite a reputation for looking like a pizza pan, and unfortunately we lost that. We lost that recognition. Some other paddle came out recently that other people
Yeah, 4K.
There you go, the J4K.
You gotta go.
So
You gotta go wider. Go
we gotta go
wider.
wider.
There's no limit on the width. I think. I mean, I guess there is a limit, but you could go wider.
Yeah, we're working on we're playing around with like that standard shape wide body category for this series. It's TBD. We'll see.
Yeah. What's the length on the Odyssey?
16.25.
16.25. I think the classic standard 16x8 isn't is one of the better wide body shapes, but I guess if you have it at 16 point, you said 0.1 or 2, sorry.
16.25 is a hybrid.
0.25. Okay. Yeah, I know everyone always wants all three shapes, but it's always hard to know like with what your tech is, like which shape is it going to be best in, or which one's going to be most popular at the time. Like when the Apollo came out, wide body was like all the craze, and now I would say it's like every shape's kind of getting its love these days. So,
yeah. Well, thanks to you in part. I remember you were part of the wide body train last year, pushing wide bodies to come back into the culture.
Yeah, I was playing wide bodies as my main paddle for probably like 6 months there or so. Like I was really on the wide body train, and then I slowly went up to the hybrid train, and that's kind of where I stayed. I feel like it's just a good mix in between things, and it helps me because like if I made a hybrid, I could go to wide bodies elongated when I'm reviewing, and if I made like elongated or wide body, it's harder for me to go to the opposite end of the spectrum. So in my mind, that's like makes the most sense for me to like stay with hybrids as a main, but I don't know. Maybe it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense in my mind.
Gotcha. I got a definitional question. When you say wide body, is that different for you than the standard shape, or are you using them interchangeably?
I think I don't know what David's definition is, but I just started saying anything that is 16 inches and shorter is a wide body because I didn't want to differentiate between wide body and standard. It just, it gets to be too much of a mouthful, and I think it gets confusing. So, like, standard is a 16x8 inches. So if you want to call something a standard, go ahead. But I label everything a wide body under 16 inches. And because sometimes, like, some paddles weren't even wider than 8 inches, but they were shorter than 16 inches. So I'm like, what do you call that? Because some people are like, like wide bodies are only wider than 8 inches. So I'm like, nah, anything under 16, that's a wide body to me. And then between 16 and 16.5, that's a hybrid. And then 16.5 plus, that's elongated. Just keeping it simple. Otherwise, we would have a ton of different shapes to talk about.
Yeah, I know like people like to say 16 is standard, anything under 16 is wide body. I'm just like 16. I say wide body, but I always say like standard / wide body. You'll still get some comments being like, hey, that's actually not standard. That's a wide body. But I'm like, it's whatever.
Yeah. I mean, because then you get people confused. Like, there's elongated paddles that have the arrow curve, and then some companies will call those hybrids, and then people get confused. They're like, "No, this is a hybrid, and this is elongated." I'm like, "No, not this paddle specifically. They're the same shape, just one has curved, edges on the top. The other one's
the 0.2 inches matter."
Like, so just to simplify it, that's kind of what I'm talking about. I guess I should try clarifying that sometimes too when I'm talking about it.
No, that fits in within how I use those terms too. I remember last year, people were doing exactly what David said. Like, if it's 16, it's a standard. If it's anything like under that, then it's wide body. And I think it's all the same these days. Everyone uses them interchangeably.
Yeah, it gets too complicated. I mean, if there was a way that we could all have the same terms, I don't know, how we would come to an agreement, but I feel like it's a fair agreement. Maybe are any USAP questions allowed on this show?
I can answer what I'm allowed to answer if you want.
Well, I guess we'll say too, since I saw you posted it and we could share it. The PB core numbers came back for the Odyssey and the Orion. They don't want to give you the Olympus numbers because why would they? Why would you need that information?
Yeah, that situation is weird because, and this is not a knock onto USAP. I think I've been pretty public about my support for USAP because they're the only independent body right now. But when we were going into launching the Olympus, we were very careful about the whole procedure. There were a lot of delistings going on at the time. So I was in pretty good contact with Carl and other members of USAP, like Carolyn. And one of the things we agreed on was having a lot of the tests done ahead of time that weren't ready yet. For example, PB core. And I also asked for them to completely break down the paddle. Please rip it apart, make sure all the materials are okay. And then they also x-rayed it. This is before they were actually doing x-rays as part of the official test. So they said they did all of that in the Olympus clear. We actually requested it to be reapproved after we got the original approvals because I wanted to clear all of that. So after that, I kept asking, hey, can you send us the PB core numbers? Curious about where the Olympus stands. And I also asked, can you give me some examples of what 0.043 looks like? Because I can't, if most paddle manufacturers would be curious about that because you sort of benchmark what the upper limit is that way.
Yeah.
So on both of those questions, we've sort of been stonewalled. And eventually I just stopped asking for those.
Gotcha. Yeah, so the Odyssey came back at 0.41 and then the Orion came back at 0.40. That's correct, right?
Right, that's right.
Okay. Yeah, so what I find interesting is it seems like all the paddles that we've heard about have been around that 0.4, 0.41 mark.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen anything too much different. And then, so we still don't have the benchmark of what's 0.43. And I have to imagine if the Paddle-Tech Annalee Waters 12.7 or the ESQ 12.7, if that didn't come back at 0.43, then I'm really confused about the test because if the Black Ace set got banned, and I find that the Annalee 12.7, in my mind, in my testing, in my place experience, is poppier than the Black Ace. I'm still confused. I'm like, how are some of these paddles not getting passed, but then those are okay? I feel like the system is not measuring it correctly. I feel like either it's measuring for pop, or it's not measuring for full power enough. It's not getting enough speed on that ball. Do you feel like their test is broken a little bit, or are you confused too? Why some are failing but they have similar levels and it just doesn't? Or am I just dumb?
I wouldn't say the last statement.
Damn it. David said the last one
so far. I think collectively, from a holistic standpoint, they're going in the right direction for sure. I mean, if we remember, the original test was deflection, which is, I'm not here, and I'm not trying to be ultra negative on that. I think from an objective level, it's a pretty poor measure of what they used to call trampoline test, or how much power you're going to get. I mean, just because the paddle moves 0.005 in our centimeters, it doesn't mean it's gonna blast off. That's what they were using before. So that's what, remember, we were talking all the time about deflection tests. So it's really good that we moved away from that to PB core. Although other industries use the same core measurements like baseball, softball, golf. With that said, I'm sure there are places where the test itself, the way they actually do the testing, can be further improved. I've heard, I haven't been in the room with them to do it, but I have heard rumors about certain things where I'm like, oh, I'm not sure that's the optimal way. I don't want to say it out loud since, I haven't been able to concretely, or I haven't had video evidence shown to me on those things.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
if those rumors are true, yeah, they can certainly improve that. But, coming from where we used to be from the deflection test, I think we've massively improved.
Yeah.
And that's
No, I hear you. I think they're making the right steps. I just, I think that with the way it is, and maybe it's like testing inconsistency, but I can definitely see this being gamed still, especially with when we don't know what the like benchmark power paddle is. That's going to be 0.43. And I guess the hard part is getting a paddle that can pass consistently at 0.43, since they're giving extra scrutiny to those that are like right at the limit. So I guess that's the hard part. Is like, can you make 0.43, but can you do it consistently without going over? Yeah.
Yeah. There are rumors that one company has been sort of openly, or I guess not publicly openly, but sort of openly talking about how they gamify their results. So that, again, if that's true, you're right on that. You can gamify and game the system to get around what the PB Core is trying to protect the consumer base from, the game from. So yeah, you're totally right. We'll see how USAP handles the testing procedures if all those rumors are true. And we'll see if the other companies start to try to game the system as well.
I mean, someone's going to do it. I mean, I think all the manufacturers would rather no one games it, right? Like most of them are ready for like fair competition, fair testing. Like it's just better for everyone if we don't, if they don't have to worry about an entire batch of paddles getting failed, have to deal with returns and recalls, and then not worry about their competition doing the same thing. So I think it's in the best benefit for everyone. But someone out there is like, what if I do it and get away with it? So
yeah, 100%.
Someone's gonna be that sneaky. But yeah, David, any more questions for Josh? I don't want to steal your whole evening.
Yeah, no, I'm good on my end. So I need to hit the the paddles more. So
all right. Any other words, Josh? I mean, like, not trying to kick you off, but I don't have any other questions, and I don't want to steal all your time.
No, thank you guys. I really appreciate the invite. It's good to hop on your podcast. It's been a minute since I've been on any of these. And it's good to see both of you guys.
Hey, it's good to see you too. We'll have to have you back. I mean, make it a regular segment. Come back next time you got your paddles or some news you want to share.
As long as you're wearing the same shirt.
Yeah, I know you look like it does look like we planned this, but I'm telling you, like, I didn't even ask him until like we're recording. I'm like, hey, since you're here, do you want to come on the podcast and just talk about your paddle? I mean, who better to talk about the construction of the paddle than the owner, right? I mean, okay, maybe me. I don't know.
Yeah, well, thanks again for having me, and I see you guys next time.
All right, Josh, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a good one. All right, so that was Josh Kim from Spartus. Really appreciate him stopping by. We didn't plan it. I'm sure someone thinks we planned it, but we didn't plan it.
Yeah, I had no idea.
It messed up my whole show notes. Now probably won't even get to everything. So that's cool. I think that's great to have him like explain the construction, explain the thought process behind it. Like stuff just gets lost in translation when like they write it. And then everyone can check it out and see it for themselves what it's all about. So I think that'll be good. I probably won't cover the PPA now. I would say that, I'll just kind of recap real quick the results. Men's doubles, Ben Johns, Patrick Quinn, they didn't make it. They didn't make it to the finals. Elshon and Daskew won. These guys, I was really loving watching Elshon and Daskew play. Great stuff. Just, kind of stomped Tardio and Johnson. The first game was close, but yeah, Elshon and Daskew, that's a lot of length on the court. I don't know if they have more lined up, but I think they could do work this year. Elshon had himself a tournament for sure. Did you watch? Did you watch anything? Did you see anything?
I just saw highlights.
Okay. So Elshon that, and then women's singles, Paris Todd stomped Caitlin Christian 11-2, 11-3. Don't save yourself some time. It's not worth watching. Hunter Johnson beat Christian Elshon again. Nothing interesting there. And then Parento and Waters. Hold on. Parento and Waters destroyed the girlies 0-4. It was but if you do want to watch a good match, Bright and Rohrbacher played Tyra Black and Paris Todd. That was a really good one if you're looking for a good women's doubles match to watch. Don't watch the finals. Waters and Parento were on fire. Mixed doubles, it was kind of close. It was Ben Johns, Annalie Waters against Tyra Black and Christian Elshon, 11-8, 11-8, 11-5. It was kind of close. Both games, they kind of were like making a comeback, but not really. I think it was more like Ben and Annalie kind of, sometimes they get like complacent and then they turn it on and finish the game. So overall, the finals weren't really that great, but like there were some really good matches in there. And then it was interesting to see Ben Johns, without his brother for the first time in a while. And, you could tell there was some like awkwardness with some of the middle balls, just kind of figuring out like who, and I think he's playing with Tardio anyway for most of the year, not Patrick Quinn, but kind of a similar play style. So they'll have to work out similar things.
Did you think he was uncomfortable with his new paddle at all? I know like people were using the Gen 4s as tournament.
I don't think that was the problem in men's. So we'll see how different that Gen 4 Joola is. But I don't think the paddle was the problem. I think it was more of like the partnership there, because he was playing really good in mixed. I don't think he played singles or he got out early because I didn't see him at all. Oh, sorry. And then, I don't think it was the paddle though. But yeah, sometimes, like when he does have that, I know when he first got like the Gen 3 paddle, he was like switching back to the old one. And then we were playing like, which paddle is it? But yeah, I don't think it was the paddle. I think it was just a partnership thing. But yeah, that's all I got on that. And then we'll move right into What the Pickle. And we have a returning sponsor, Enhanced Pickleball, the maker of the Dink Master Pro, one of my favorite training tools. And honestly, just a great thing to have for the people that are in the cold to have in their basement to get some extra time playing pickleball and drilling. And a great tip for people that have it or are looking to get it, if you tilt it, it's a board, so you can tilt it. If you tilt it and you're doing dinks, because if you keep the board flat, the dinks will come back. If you tilt it and you can get some aggressive dinks going, the ball will actually like stay down pretty low, so you can get some nice aggressive dinks and the ball's like coming back a lot faster. That's definitely one thing I really like doing, is tilting it down, so like you're dinking and it's kind of simulating like an aggressive dink battle. Yeah.
I was wondering what the angles were for.
Yeah,
I keep it flat all the time.
Do it. Try tilting it down. No joke. It kind of simulates like you're doing a nice dink battle. The other thing is I'll tilt it up. Kind of simulates like you speed up and it gives you a pop up. So I doubt many people drill like finishing a pop up, but we all know we miss that pop up into the net sometimes. It's not a bad thing to drill. Also in hands, I guess you tilt it, it gives you a little bit more consistency, like coming back up instead of if you have it flat, it might just keep going down. But yeah, tilting it down, that's what I found best for dinking. But What the Pickle this week. Guys, here's the What the Pickle. 11/6/24 had a power paddle launch, right? They sell out of their paddles. Vapor sells out in 2 minutes. Hirache X sells out in 10 minutes, and Pegasus sells out in an hour. What do people do? They start review bombing 11/6/24. They're giving them 1-star reviews because they're upset they didn't get a paddle. Guys, paddles sell out. That means it's a good paddle, most likely. Don't go review someone 1 star because a paddle sold out. Ridiculous. Childish behavior. But yeah, that's my What the Pickle. Don't do that kind of stuff, guys. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I think even like, everyone was like shocked when it did sell out that fast. But I feel like the Discord was pretty vocal about being like, these are gonna sell out. Like, guys, we need to be fast about this.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think I'm assuming you might have done the same, but like because we kind of released our videos early, and I was like, I think people are gonna buy this regardless, but I'd like them to have our thoughts before the actual release, which is why I did my review a day early. But I knew there was gonna be hype around it. Like based on like the demo day I had, a lot of people were like trying to buy it. I told all of them was like, I think these are going to be sell out pretty fast. And I know several of them like couldn't get it unfortunately because they were like waiting until 12:15. I was like, no, you're supposed to be there at 12.
Yeah. So I knew some people too that didn't get it either. Maybe they thought they had more time, but it's kind of hard to gauge too, because sometimes like in the Discord bubble, I think something's going to be really popular and it isn't. Just like, but there's more coming, so like don't worry, like more coming. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I think it's
You'll
like
get the paddle.
2 weeks there's gonna be another drop, so
Yeah.
like, they'll be fine.
Yeah. As far as review, like when to drop the review, like I find like if I'm buying something, I don't want to make a last minute decision. Like I don't want to watch a review and then be like, well, now I have to, I have to decide if I'm going to buy it in like an hour or 20 minutes. I want to watch something and then I want to sleep on it if I can, or wait a couple days, watch it again maybe. So I figure like the more time you give someone, the better. I mean, obviously you can't give them too much time, like 2 months, because it's just things don't work like that. But like I always find like, hey, if you can do a week in advance, whatever, I think most people would appreciate more time to make the decision. It just lets, because they're probably comparing paddle to paddle too. They're like, let me watch this review, let me go watch this review of this paddle, let me make my decision. So I'm always for more time as a consumer when I'm watching reviews.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's my What the Pickle, sponsored by Enhanced Pickleball. Just take it easy out there, everyone. Put those pitchforks down. Save them for David.
Yeah, I'm waiting for this.
That's all we have in the different segments this week. Might save some of these paddles for next time, honestly, as we were talking. But what was the paddle you wanted to talk about the most?
Oh, for me, I noticed we got a lot of comments asking about the Proton, and I've gotten a lot of people asking me about the Proton. I'll preface this by saying Proton never responded to my emails. I don't think they really work with us reviewers. I mean, I'm sure you might have a different story, but at least for me, like, I've reached out, I've been interested. I've never gotten a response from them. So it's not that I dislike Proton or anything. I just haven't, gotten one. So that's just why I've never reviewed Proton on the channel. I don't have anything against them. I just haven't gotten the paddle. But because a lot of people were asking and I knew that one of my friends had it, I got to try his out. So I just did 2 games with it. And honestly, like the Flamingo, so that's the one I was talking about. The Flamingo, I honestly think it's a good paddle. Like I actually quite liked it when I hit it. It's a 15 millimeter. I think it has that diving board sort of foam wall. So it's a Gen 3 paddle. Basically, it's an elongated 15 millimeter Gen 3. And it feels nice. It's really like springy feeling. Like it's not too stiff. It's kind of like springy. But like even though I did like it, I wouldn't say I would pay $300 for it. Like for me, like a True Foam, even though that's like $280, like that you do get a discount code with that. And for me, like, okay, I personally would pay that price because I like the feel of it, and I think that durability is like fair to factor in. But for the Proton, you don't really have that much innovation as much. And while it is a good paddle, like 300, I think is already just going too much for it. Did you ever get a chance to try it out?
No, I still don't have one. But I know some people that have them, so I will definitely check it out. I mean, it seems like obviously people like them. I would say, if Proton's watching, if the paddle is as good as you say it is, it only benefits you to get it into our hands. And I guess that's all I'll say. I do get a lot of comments about why I didn't compare something to the Proton. And honestly, it's just hard to get. Even I think they sold out. So it sold out for a little bit. I didn't even know when it was launching. When they launched it, they delayed the launch. Seems like they gave it to a couple people that live nearby that do videos. That's all I could find on it. I don't know what to tell you. Like if they don't want to, put their paddle up for the tests, I gotta go find it on the streets, and get it. And also it's like we have so many paddles to already review, like not gonna go seek out stuff I need to obtain on my own. just because, but they are the sponsor of the PPA. They get a lot of attention. So I'll make an exception for this one, but I can't go hunt down every paddle. I got too many paddles already. But we'll make a special exception because so many people are commenting. I do wonder, is this a Ariana Wilson situation? That's all I'll say. If you know, you know. Any other Proton Flamingo thoughts? Project Flamingo.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's like this is just me having 2 games of experience, so I don't know if they break in or anything. But maybe if I had my own.
All right, I assume they probably break in a little bit with that same design, but who knows? Selkirk 008 probably have some more to talk about this time. I did get the 13 millimeter, so I played with the 10 millimeter. In both of the Invictus shapes, 13 and 10. 10 is surprisingly soft for a 10 millimeter. Any 10 millimeter I've played with before feels like a board, feels very stiff. This one doesn't. It just doesn't have that much power. Kind of plays like a control paddle, which is not something you'd really expect from a 10 millimeter. 13 millimeter I like a lot more. Kind of like an all court paddle, not the same feeling as the Carbon True Foam. Because this is an all foam court as well. And this one's just like solid foam. The True Foam has like some cutouts. Probably uses a different type of foam, I'm assuming. The 13 millimeter, I added some weight on it. With the weight, plays like a really good all court paddle. I'll probably do like a first impression on it since, it seems like it's been getting some attention. But yeah, I mean it's like, yeah, I could go play with it. It's a really good paddle. It's just you always look at that price point, right? I'm not sure what their price on that is. I think it's cheaper than their usual 33.
Yeah, 33. I think it might be $280.
Okay, so maybe like lining up with the True Foam, and then depending, I don't think they do discounts though, so maybe a little higher. But I think it's one of my favorite Selkirk paddles that I have tried. I have not tried their entire lineup, but I think that this all foam core technology is like the right spot. And I'm really interested to see. I think for sure that they'll convert something of the 008 into like a flagship paddle line. I'm really interested to see like if they can make some minor tweaks, give it a little bit more juice, because it does feel really good. So we'll see. Did you have any of those on the way?
I don't know. I know I have the shoes on the way. I don't know about the paddle though.
All right. We'll wait and see. Oh yeah. And then do you have the Robust Red on you?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. So the Robust Red, this is from a guy named Cliff Pickleball. I don't know if you've seen him on YouTube, but one of the guys I first saw on YouTube when I came around. He's been around for a while. He had the Varus paddle, and I'm not sure what the whole story is. Basically, whoever he started with the company, something didn't work out, so he started a new paddle called the Robust Red, or the company's called Robust. Paddle's called Red. Also the color of the edge guard. And built as a Gen 3 paddle. I think it's like the double ring of foam. Does not hit like a Gen 3 power paddle. When most people are thinking like the Joola Gen 3S power level. Doesn't hit like that yet. We'll have to see if it breaks in. I would say it's like a lightweight all-court paddle, which isn't a bad thing, but definitely does not have the power and pop of a normal Gen 3 when you're thinking about that power paddle. Did you find anything different, David, or how did you find the Red? Also comes in 14 and 16. I mainly played the 16.
Yeah, I only hit the 16, but right now also only like 3 games with it, so not too much time on it. But like you said, it's like an all court ish 16 millimeter. I think like some of these double foam layers, they're just not as stiff feeling as these Gen 2s, like the J2K Plus, J2TI Plus. Like they're not as stiff feeling as the normal version, the Gen 2 versions. So I think this was kind of the same, where like it wasn't as stiff feeling, but I also didn't get that power. So I don't know if it's maybe going to get that power later. But yeah, this is like one I still need to break in. Same with my J2K Plus and J2TI Plus, but it's got to get in line because I got to break those other 2 in first.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just a difference in foam, or are some of these just come in like pre-core crushed a little, and that gives it the
It's
juice?
I just speak to this company called Helios, and what they said is it depends on the temperature that you heat the foam in, and sometimes
Okay.
if it's not in the right temperature, it won't activate as well. And I know that's what they said about the Pickle and Electo Gen 3, because I have two. One of them broke in. That one hits hard. The other one just never broke in. And
Okay.
yeah, that they told me specific. That was like an example they gave me because they cut that one open.
Gotcha. So maybe just inconsistency in the manufacturing, and
Yeah.
maybe the manufacturers just don't even know that that's the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. I was gonna do a little bit of elongated power paddle talk, but I think I'll save that for next time. Uh, I can kind of give like a quick thing. Basically, I was hitting the Harache X Power from Limit 624 and the Paddletech Bantam Tikio C 12.7 and the Joola Perseus 14 and 16 millimeter Gen 3S. Basically, I just realized, and I'll talk more next time. I'm trying to do like a power paddle video soon. Uh, I don't like the handle being too long on the elongateds, and this goes back to like when I was playing
That's
with
me
the
too.
speed ups.
Yeah.
I and the face just gets too small, and it affects the power. I don't think the Hirachi X. I think it might have less power than the Vapor Power. Uh, it maybe like it has more top end power, but it's just like the sweet spot's smaller, and I just don't play well with it. Like unless you really really want a 6-inch handle, like you have a reason for it. I wouldn't get a 6-inch handle paddle like unless you know what you're getting into. It just it's tough to play with.
Yeah, I think 6 inches is probably like the limit that I think people should go for. I don't think you should make any handles longer than that. But yeah, for like the Hirache, like once you get to that full swing, you can get that higher end of power because then you can like fully utilize, the shape more and that longer handle length to
Yeah,
whip the ball. But like on regular shots, because you're not often swinging that fully, you're doing like more compact shots, and then because of
yeah,
that, that's where like the vapor is going to be coming on top.
yeah. It's probably on those swinging volleys, like or just like rolls and stuff that I was noticing it not getting as much power.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, not the shape for me. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe my game's just changed. 'Cause I did like the original Hirache X Control Plus. I think that was the name.
Yeah.
Whatever the original's name was. But yeah, not working for me anymore. Not working for me. But that's all I have on paddles. Were there any other paddles you wanted to mention?
We can do that next week, but I think
Okay.
one last thing we can clean up was, so you did mention how I can't comment on your videos.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's something I kind of noticed too. So I would see someone's comment, I'd reply, and then I would see it post, and then I would refresh the video and be gone. And then I'd be like,
Oh,
okay, well, now I can't tell this person my discount code. Jacob's gonna steal this. I'm just kidding. Because you didn't have a discount code before that. But I was just like, man, I can't comment at all. And then now I like read the comments. I'm like, man, I wish I could defend myself here, but I can't. It's okay. Maybe Jacob will defend me.
okay. Yeah. I someone help us out. I don't even know how to fix the issue.
Yeah, I think Jacob
Uh,
like banned me or something from his channel.
Actually, I probably should look. Maybe I banned you, and I thought it was someone else. It probably is the simplest thing to figure out. Uh, so yeah, that's probably I'll put that at the top of my priority list to figure that out. Uh, but I think that's all we have for this week. A lot of cool stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks, and hopefully we can pop on another company owner. That was pretty cool to have Josh on, get his insight. And, I know Josh will. I didn't want to push him too far. I didn't want to get him in trouble with, anyone. I don't know what he's allowed to say about USAP, but hopefully we didn't get him in trouble. Any last words, David?
Next week we'll be in Vegas, so I don't know. We could potentially do an episode in person if we can figure out equipment. But I don't know. That might be tough.
Yeah, next week is the Joola Creator Event. What is that? It's Tuesday, Wednesday, so that will be a ton of fun. We'll figure something out. We'll figure it out. I don't know like what we're allowed to say right away from that either, but hopefully we can release it soon. But yeah, that's gonna be a ton of fun. A lot of reviewers going. And I don't think I've met anyone there, so that'll be fun to meet people.
Yeah. The only reviewer I've met so far is Farmer Lanky, so it'll be nice to meet everyone else in person.
Yeah. That's gonna be a good time. Hopefully the weather is nice and warm and not bad because I'm escaping the Michigan winter and I do not want to go anywhere else that has bad weather.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, have a good week. Stay warm. I got a snowstorm coming here, so I will not be staying warm. Peace out.